Winston Cup win, #1 in the Coca-Cola 600 for Wisconsin's Matt Kenseth.
A rookie has won.
Matt drove the wheels off that thing. He's going to victory circle.
Dale Earnhardt Jr. appeals to the outside, can't make it happen. Matt Kenseth is going to win the Daytona 500. Matt Kenseth wins tonight at Darlington.
Oh, I can't believe that. Gosh, you guys are good.
And Matt Kenseth still doing a superb job running for Bill Elliott today in 10th.
Coolest thing about driving Bill Elliott's car, I mean, huge legend. I didn't know I was going to be racing that car that weekend. His father passed away, and he went home, and Mike Beam came down and asked me to drive the car. So I wasn't expecting that opportunity. So for me, it was one of my more fun races ever because there's no expectations, there's no pressure. It was just fun, and I just thought it was really liked over. I mean, the first time I went there, it was so incredibly fast. You could be really, really aggressive. You know, it still had that big cliff driving into turn one. You drive off the hill, down in the corner, and back up the hill, out of the corner. It was just real violent and real fast. I really liked it.
Kenseth has proved how well he can drive today.
Can you imagine how good this Kenseth kid is going to be when he gets some experience?
Another good thing about running my first race there, it was the first year they went from 500 miles to 400 miles. So it was a little bit more manageable for my first Cup race.
I think the first race car I was ever in was a leftover from 57, this 1958. Oldsmobile had got in racing, and then all the factories got out of it, so we had a bunch, 3 or 4 cars. My dad let me take a convertible to Columbia, South Carolina. I'd never been in a race car, period, anywhere. And said, okay, you go there. They went up to Asheville and run a Cup race, I think. But me and Dale, another boy, went down there, had no idea what was going on. I mean, you know, Dale had no experience. I didn't have any. But that was my first race car.
Kenseth from Wisconsin also offering the salute to one of his home state heroes.
I always felt like being from Wisconsin, the fans up there are super passionate and super loyal, whether they're Packer fans and, for me, thankfully, race fans. So there was a lot of great stock car racing up there. When I was a kid, I used to go watch ASA races and see Mark Martin and Dick Trickle and Tom Reffner and Joe Shear. All these guys out there, they're racing their ASA cars, and to get the chance to end up racing there in Wisconsin and be able to be part of that fan base was really special to me. And then, of course, you know, Alan Quickie moving down here and winning the NASCAR championship, you know, I think really got the more people noticing drivers from Wisconsin and even making it kind of a more of a popular area for stock car racing.
For 7 straight hours, Richard Petty smiled, signed autographs, and showed the same magnetism that made his father one of the first heroes of American stock car racing.
Fans are really loyal people. They follow you no matter where you go. My wife and myself met a couple from Georgia, and we happened to be in, I think, Asheville, North Carolina, and they were just fans. First thing you know, we got to know them. Our kids hung out together. Kyle hung out with his son. You know, so those people followed us everywhere. And then you got people that just show up at certain racetracks. But when you get people, say from Wisconsin, that follow you no matter where you go, when we had a lot of people like that in the South, the fans is what makes it all. Without the fans, we'd had to go to work for a living.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have liked that.
We found out for a short while what it was like without the fans during the 2020 season. During COVID, no fans there, and it was not a great experience. It felt like you were at a test every race. You know, you couldn't really talk to anybody. There's nobody cheering. There's nobody booing. There's nobody yelling at you. It was a different experience, and I think definitely made everybody appreciate the fans even more.
Right.
For over 2 decades, Inman has been preparing racing cars.
You know, if we look back at NASCAR history and the people that's won championships, won a lot of races, always had a crew chief that kind of stayed with them, and they thought on the same scale. Dale was with me all those years, and when we first started, we didn't have radio contact or nothing. But the big deal was that he thought the same way I did. Me and Dale could communicate just in our minds. In other words, if the car was too pushing too much, I could let him know, and he could make adjustments, or if it was loose. It was like having 2 bodies with 1 mind. So a driver just didn't jump in a car and win year in and year out with different crew chiefs. They gotta have that communication that makes everything work.
Yeah, I agree. When I came around and got my first chance to drive in the now Xfinity Series with Robbie Riser was my crew chief, and he used to be a competitor of mine up in Wisconsin, and he moved south to kind of pursue his dream of driving, and through some injuries and some other things happening, ended up not driving and turned over to the crew chief role. When I started driving his car, it was only, I think, my second Xfinity start, and my first one I did with this guy, it was fine, but I'd give him feedback and he didn't really buy into what I was saying. It's impossible. These kind of cars don't do that. That's not what that, and you kind of got that. And Robbie right from the start would believe in me because he knew I was driving the car, and he had to give me what I wanted to feel in the car to be successful. So I think that's what the good crew chiefs, I think, really do right is whether they think it's right or wrong, sometimes they got to go down a different direction to give you what you need to be successful.
A driver and a winner is different people. A lot of people are better drivers maybe than the winners, but the winners know how to win. And to become a legend, you need to be one of those people. It doesn't pay much to be a good driver. It pays to win races. So in order to do that, you got to know how to race people. If you start a race with 40 people, all of them are great drivers, but there's just 5 or 6 that are racers out of that particular crowd. No matter if you go back to the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you can pick those out because those are the people that become legends. Thanks for coming, man.
Yes, sir.
Appreciated the conversation.
Yeah, thanks, King. Thanks for having me.
Take your time and look around a little bit, okay?
I'll do it. Special place.